Hello friends and welcome back to Play Recaps. Today I am going to recap a 2016 biographical war film called Hacksaw Ridge. The movie opens in the middle of a battle, and we can see soldiers screaming, being shot, and being set on fire. Men are carrying a young man on a stretcher out of the battle. His name is Desmond Doss and his leg is badly hurt. The story then flashes back 16 years, and we are introduced to Desmond and Harold, two young brothers. They live with their parents in Virginia. Tom, their dad, went off to fight in World War II and returned alive, but he lost 3 close friends. He knows firsthand the horrors that conflict may bring. Moreover, after he lost his buddies, his mental state deteriorated. He spends a lot of time drinking and going to see the graveside of his friends. There is no longer any point in living for him anymore. This is why he always seems to be absent when the kids need him. When he gets inebriated, he sometimes hits his wife. He has a short fuse and is easily enraged. Both kids start fighting one day, and Tom doesn't seem to mind. After a while, Desmond, who is angry, smashes his brother in the head with a brick, causing him to bleed. And when he sees his brother in this state and realizes what he has done, he didn't anticipate the results to be so disastrous. He breaks down in tears and feels bad. He approaches a picture directly and takes a position in front of it. It represents their god. He then begins to pray over the image. It is stated that it is a sin to kill or beat someone. Realizing his error, he fears that his brother might pass away as a result. This experience has profoundly altered him. Now 15 years have passed and Desmond has developed after that event. He has evolved into a really serene, gracious, and upright person. He is seen at the church working. He rushes to the injured man when an accident occurs out of the blue. He assists him and observes that the man has a broken leg and is heavily bleeding. So after fastening his belt to his leg, he drives him to the hospital. He receives praise from the doctor for fastening the belt around his leg. Otherwise, the man might lose too much blood and pass away. He is overjoyed to have saved the man's life. He runs into Dorothy, a nurse, as he prepares to leave the hospital. He makes the decision to give blood in order to utilize this as a pretext for speaking with her. In order to chat with her and spend time with her, he starts showing up at the hospital virtually every day after that. They begin to occasionally spend time together, which leads to the beginning of dating. A few days later, we learn that World War II has begun and that Desmond and his brother Harold have both entered the military to serve their nation. Tom, their father, is not happy with this. He lost 3 very close friends and doesn't want his sons to join the army. They also served in the military, and he is unable to gaze at their bodies because they were shot so many times. Blood was all over their bodies. He continues by saying that he doesn't want his sons to experience that. Desmond then expresses to his father his desire to contribute to the country. He will therefore work as a doctor. He has no desire to enlist in the military and take up arms. He wants to assist and treat the injured guys, but his father refuses to do so since he is still afraid. Desmond will receive his training at an army camp. Dorothy arrives to meet him as he departs. She offers him a pocket Bible and informs him that they will get married when he returns from his training. He agrees to it happily on his way to the camp. When he looks inside the Bible, he discovers a picture of Dorothy. When he arrives at the camp, he runs with a lot of other men who have come here for training. Sergeant Howell greets him. They'll receive instruction from him. As the training gets underway, it's clear that Desmond is performing every exercise flawlessly. Then a moment came when they had to become proficient with firearms. Desmond never even touches a gun. He responds that he won't want to handle a gun since he doesn't want to kill anyone when the sergeant furiously asks him why he hasn't taken up a pistol. He submitted an application to work as a doctor here. He wants to treat and assist the wounded soldiers. He adds that he had included this information into his form. Sergeant brings him to the camp's captain. The captain tries to persuade him to use the gun. Desmond sticks to his ground and refuses to touch the gun. The sergeant tells Doss he will send him to be discharged. Later, the sergeant instructs the other soldiers to mistreat Doss. They are all in agreement. Smitty targets Doss and attacks him that night. Doss does not respond. Later, Doss discusses his dismissal with another officer. He still does not want a gun. The officer informs Captain Glover that Doss is fine but must complete all of his training. The captain and Sergeant Howell devise a strategy to force Doss to leave. Doss is made to clean the toilets, and all of the men are punished. At night, some men beat him up. The sergeant informs Doss that he must resign the following day. He doesn't. Later, the men are getting ready to go on leave. Another officer informs Doss that he cannot go on leave. He has not completed his firearms training. He planned to marry today but has been warned that if he does not carry a gun, he will be imprisoned. Later, we find Dorothy in a church waiting for Doss to come so they can get married, while Desmond is in prison. Dorothy visits Desmond and then speaks with his parents. Tom dons his old army outfit and travels to see his army buddy, General Musgrove. In the following scene, Doss attends a court for defying orders. Captain Glover and Sergeant Howell are among the officers present. Doss declares his intention to fight. Doss is taken aback when his father walks in and defends him. He has received a letter from the general. It states that Doss can go to combat while continuing to train as a physician. Desmond and Dorothy are later shown to be married. We eventually see Doss and the other men in Japan. He is now a medic. We witness the tragic aspect of the conflict. The dead men are removed, and the soldiers appear depressed and bloodied. Doss and his soldiers established a base in an old house. They are joined by a few more soldiers. Two of them go speak with Desmond and the other medics. They tell the men about fighting at Hacksaw and how the enemy likes to kill medics. Later, we observe the soldiers ascend the large rope ladder to Hacksaw. To assist them, the Navy fires some heavy weapons. We can see the battleground. It's strewn with dead bodies and smoke. Bullets whiz by and people are shot. Many of the men are killed or blown up. Doss assists a wounded soldier as the army continues to fight and advance. Vito is shot, and a medic arrives to assist him. Smitty saves Doss from death. Doss goes to help his friend, Ralph, who is dying. His legs are gone, and he is severely injured. Doss is told to leave by the other medic. Hollywood is saved from death by the surgeon, while Ralph is carried to safety by Doss. Doss boldly runs out to assist an injured soldier. The fight continues, and Ghoul is injured by a grenade. As the conflict continues, the captain is injured. Explosions erupt everywhere, and men scream as the flamethrower burns them. Doss locates Ghoul and assists him. After the combat has ceased, the men are told to camp there for the night. Doss and Smitty travel in search of additional injured men. That night, the men discuss all of the fallen warriors. In peace, sons bury their fathers. In war, fathers bury their sons, one guy adds. Doss is having nightmares of getting murdered. He tells Smitty about his father after waking up. A flashback shows Doss rescuing his mother from his father. He takes his father's gun and points it at him. That's why he won't pull out a gun. Doss and Smitty converse and smile. The adversary awakens the men early the next morning. There are a swarm of them, all out to kill. The sergeant orders the men to retreat, because they are coming from underground. The captain orders a Navy strike. After additional combat, the sergeant is shot in the legs, and a medic arrives to help and is also shot. As the fighting continues, Doss continues to assist the injured. Smitty has been shot and severely injured. Doss appears and carries him past the battle and explosives on his back. But it's too late. Smitty is no longer alive. As the Navy strike proceeds, the soldiers descend the rope ladder. Doss stays behind and returns to the explosions to assist someone. The captain and the men can be seen leaving at the bottom of the rope ladder. Back in the fight, Doss discovers that his companion has been severely injured. As another man asks for assistance, he carries him through the explosions. Doss carries the injured man up the rope ladder. He ties the same knot that made everyone laugh earlier. He wraps it around the man's legs and lowers him to the ground. Then he assists the other man by lowering him. Meanwhile, the captain arrives at a base and orders the Navy strike to be halted. Doss continues assisting men and bringing them down. Doss hides a companion under soil as the enemies search for survivors. As the enemies approach, Doss hides beneath a dead body. An attacker stabs the body on top of Doss, but he and his companion are unharmed. Soldiers pursue Doss, but he flees below through various tunnels. He hides from the soldiers by running through the tunnels. He comes across a wounded enemy soldier and tends to his injuries. Doss locates and assists additional injured soldiers. He rescues many men and lowers them to safety while continually asking, "One more." A doctor at the bottom wonders where all the men are coming from. "Hacksaw," says a soldier, "someone is dragging injured individuals from the top." Even two opposing soldiers. The smoke on the battlefield is dissipating as Doss locates Sergeant Howell and the other medic. He takes the medic and promises to return for the sergeant. Back at the base, the captain discovers that Hollywood is still alive. Hollywood informs the captain that Doss assisted everyone in getting down to safety. Meanwhile, Doss attempts to assist the sergeant but is shot in the head. Fortunately, the bullet bounces off. There is a sniper, but the sergeant shoots him down. While the sergeant shoots at the attackers, Doss pulls him on a stretcher. They reach the top of the rope ladder and have a humorous moment when the sergeant notices the knot. Doss lowers the sergeant as the enemy fires at him. The sergeant instructs the guys at the bottom to assist Doss. Doss then falls down a rope with Smitty's body. Doss lands and is safe. The guys surround him, and he is led to the hospital tent. We later meet Doss in the medical tent, surrounded by all the men he has rescued. There are several of them, however one of his colleagues did not make it. Later outside, the captain approaches Doss and admits he was wrong about him. He's a hero, and the men look up to him. The captain says they'll be back up tomorrow, but not without Doss. In the following scene, we observe men preparing to return to Hacksaw. They are waiting for Private Doss to complete his prayer for them. They climb the ladder once more and continue fighting. They are successful this time. The enemy pretends to surrender. Doss saves the men by kicking away a grenade. His leg is severely injured. He's being carried off the battlefield on a stretcher. This is the same scene as at the beginning of the film. There are certain enemy soldiers who refuse to surrender. They pull out their knives, and we all know what happens next. The fighting comes to a halt, and the enemy quickly surrenders. The captain informs Doss that he is returning home. They've captured Hacksaw. The film concludes with Doss being lowered to safety while gazing up at the blue sky. This is a true story about his real life. He received the Medal of Honor for saving 75 men, a great hero. Like and subscribe to see more videos like this, and don't forget to turn on notifications. Thank you, and see you all next time.